Okay, today we're going to look at figurative language and other literary techniques which make writing way more creative and interesting. But first, I want to talk about the difference between what's figurative and what's meant literally. So, first of all, the literal meaning, literal, is when you mean exactly what you say, whereas figurative means it's imaginative language used to make a point. So, for instance, on the left, I have the literal description or what we actually mean. And on the right column here, it's figurative. It's a more creative way of saying the same thing. So, the literal description might be the grass is green. Well, over here on the right, we still have the same meaning, but it's a more creative way to put it. The grass is like spiky green hair. Well, I don't actually mean it's hair, okay? It's just a more creative way of saying it. The second one, the flowers smell sweet. Well, this technically is probably meaning the same thing. The flowers are the sweetest smelling flowers in the world. Well, if I said that, I probably didn't actually go out and do research to determine that these flowers are actually the sweetest. It's just a creative way of saying that those flowers are sweet. And last one, the road was a hot sun, melting anything that sat on it for too long. I don't actually mean the road turned into a sun. My literal meaning is just that the road's really hot. This is just a more creative way of saying it. Okay, so when someone says literally, they mean exactly what they say. So, for instance, if I said, John was so close to me, he was sitting on me, literally. Well, when I stick that word literally there, that means that I actually mean what I just said, for real. So, he might have been sitting on part of my leg if I said he was literally sitting on me. Same with the next one. If I said it was literally the hottest day of the year, literally means I'm meaning exactly what I'm saying. So if I checked the record books, it really was the hottest temperature for the whole year if I said it was literally the hottest day. Okay, we'll go over the specific types of figurative language in the days to come, but I just want to show you some examples of figurative language where someone is using creative language to get their point across. So, for instance, it's raining cats and dogs. It's figurative. I don't actually mean cats and dogs were falling from the sky. It's a creative way of saying it's raining really hard. The second one, if I say the camera loves me, I don't actually mean the camera developed feelings for me. I just mean that on that particular day, I'm taking really good pictures. If I say this pizza is as cold as ice, I don't actually mean it turned into ice. It's just cold. It's figurative. It's a creative way of saying it. If I say the leaves danced across the lawn, the leaves aren't actually breakdancing in the yard. They just are probably tumbling over each other, and maybe it looks like they're dancing. It's just creative. And if I say the cupcake was calling to me, I don't actually mean the cupcake said, eat me. I just mean that it looked good. It's a creative way of saying it. So now we're going to go into a specific kind of figurative language, and that is personification. So you should notice the first part of personification is person. And that should help you remember what personification is. Personification is giving human characteristics to non-human objects. So basically, you're making some object, something that is not a person, you're giving them some quality or characteristic that a human has to be creative. So I want to show you a couple examples. If I said the first rays of morning tiptoed through the meadow, okay, look for the human characteristic, and that is the morning is tiptoeing through the meadow, okay? But we actually just mean, the sunshine is just moving through slowly. It might look like it's tiptoeing, but it's just a creative way of saying it. It's personification. Or the wind howled its mighty objection. The wind isn't actually howling like a human would. It's just making a lot of noise. And the ocean waves lashed out angrily at the boat. So the human quality would be it lashed out angrily, but really there's just a lot of waves, okay? It's not actually becoming angry like a person would. It's creative. Okay, so those examples are all figurative. They're personification. Some of the earlier examples I gave you, like a cupcake saying, "Eat me," we're giving a human quality to the cupcake. Or if I said, "The camera loves me," I'm giving that quality of love to the camera. But those are all figurative. I don't actually mean that the camera developed love for me. They're a creative way of getting a point across. Well, personification will be figurative, where you're just being creative, unless the author actually intends to give the object a magical human quality. So, for instance, if you've seen Beauty and the Beast, you know that these objects actually have some magical human quality in the movie. So, there, the author or screenwriter actually intended for the objects to have a magical human quality. So, there, it's not intended to be figurative. It's a magical quality that's meant to be taken literally. Okay, here's another example where the author intended for the object to actually have a magical quality and to interpret it literally. I pulled the sneakers out of the shoebox and laced them up. I could have sworn the shoe groaned. At first, I thought I was hearing things, but then it groaned even louder. "Hey, you! Yes, you! You laced me up too tight!" I couldn't believe it. Was I dreaming? Okay. So there, the author actually intends for you to interpret it literally that these shoes are actually talking. Okay. So usually personification will be figurative or creative, but sometimes authors will actually give objects a magical human quality. Okay. So when you read Gathering Blue, I am going to have you do a few examples of personification prior to reading the chapter. And then I'll have you look for personification while you're reading chapter 11 of Gathering Blue. It does have some figurative personification with the fire. It also has some magical personification that's continued from previous chapters. So I'll have you look for that while you're reading. Thank you. Please ask if you have questions.